Welcome to Down Under the Crossbar, our new weekly football show. I'm Brendan Bradford. I'm a sports reporter at Code Sports and News Corp, and I'm joined by Steve Peios, the voice of world football. You've heard him at World Cup finals, Copa Americas. You've heard him all over the joint. We're starting a weekly football show, largely focusing on the Premier League and with a specific Arsenal slant, as you can see here, and probably behind Steve. We're both long-time and long-suffering Arsenal fans. Stevie, welcome, man. It's been a journey to get here, but here we go.
BB, great to see you, mate. You're a great man. High praise for me, mate. But let's talk about you, mate. One of Australia's leading sports journalists, not only in the combat sports space, the football space now, rugby. You're doing everything, mate. It's great to be here. And as you said, Arsenal tragics, mate. It's probably going to be 22 years of no Premier League title, but what can I say, mate? This will be therapeutic for us, BB. The fact that we can talk about it, we can share it with all of our viewers as well, and we can say, hey, you're in it together with us as we go through this. But really excited, mate. Great to be here. Premier League starts this weekend. It's always a long and short wait for the English Premier League, BB, because it's always a case that you get to the end of the season and it's a 10 or 12 week wait, depending on when your team finishes. In our case, last year, it's a 12-week wait because there was no cup finals for us. But what that means is that the preseason comes and goes pretty quickly, and then all of a sudden we're here ready for match day one. So, mate, can't wait to talk about it. Love the name, Down Under the Crossbar. I think it's something different for us, and we'll provide that nice slant for everybody. But excited, mate, ready to go, and we should have a bit of fun with this as the season progresses.
Yeah, I'm guessing that there is going to be a lot of venting during the season. It's almost like when we do this on the phone anyway, we might as well turn it into something that could be productive and worthwhile.
Something digestible.
Yeah. So certainly going to have an Arsenal focus and an Australian or a down under sort of viewpoint as well. And, for anyone watching, I'm also a Warriors fan in the NRL, so I've won nothing in a long time. Even my All Blacks have gone a couple of World Cups without winning anything. So it'll be a lot of venting, but I'm looking forward to it. Today, season kicks off this weekend, just a couple of hours away. I thought I'll get some predictions from you, some previews and stuff. So, mate, let's get straight into it. We'll go straight to the top, straight to the thing everyone wants to know. The question really is not who's going to win, but can anyone knock Liverpool off? Like everyone I see, it's Liverpool going back to back. Is it that clear cut?
Look, for me, BB, I might be a little bit left field here, but I think it's definitely not that clear cut. And for me, I think it's not going to be a simple case of Liverpool winning the Premier League again. My reasons behind it are this. They've just won the Premier League last year when they weren't supposed to. A lot of that was off the back of an extremely fast start. They were after 20 games, they were miles clear. And whilst they did have a poorer second half of the season, BB, they still managed to have a lead that was big enough. Arsenal never put it together in any point in the season, and then whenever they gained any momentum, they dropped it as well. Looking at it as well from the perspective of the case of their recruitment, that's the one that's got me really confused. You're in a case where I think what you're looking to do is basically put in one or two players on top of a premiership winning team and really strengthen in that respect. What they've done is, very sadly, of course, they've lost Diogo Jota to that car accident. So they've lost a player there in unforeseen and sad circumstances. They've lost Diaz, they've lost Nunes. There's a lot of uncertainty regarding Konate, regarding Elliott. There's a bit of a chat about what would happen with Jones. The midfield's a little bit all over the place. Trent Alexander-Arnold has gone. Robinson's in a situation where he's been replaced by Kirkes, but Kirkes looked pretty poor to me in pre-season, and I think a lot of that's just down to the fact that he hasn't been able to understand the system yet. So, look, that'll take time, and I've got no issues there. But then you've got all these additional signings that have come in. Ekitike, I think, will be good, but he's going to be in direct competition with the whole Isak saga, which we'll go into shortly. And then outside of that, you've also got what I thought was a pretty stable midfield in Alexis McAllister and Gravenberch, but they're in a situation now where there seems to be a lot of uncertainty. So I don't think it's that clear cut, mate, to be honest. And BB, tell us what you think as well about Liverpool so far and how they're going to go.
I think you sort of touched on it there. They've made a lot of big money signings, and okay, they've won the league. You want to bolster things up, the next year on. Maybe a guy's gone, like Trent Alexander-Arnold's gone, but yeah, for me, the guys they brought in just create some more uncertainty, more. I don't know. You can put together your starting side and all that kind of stuff, but long term, and I suppose you got to look at depth as well. It's a long season, which I want to get into with a few of the other teams as well. But yeah, for me, the guys that brought in, it's not just like straight swaps with the guys who've left. You've created double ups. There's this Isak thing, which I want to get into next, because anyone, I suppose, if you're watching this, you know Steve from his transfer announcement videos. Look, if Fabrizio Romano and Steve Peios haven't both announced it, it's not a done deal. So what I want to know is, have you got something, Steve Peios, have you got something in your drafts with Isak coming to Liverpool? Or is it still too early? What's happening here?
I love your question, mate. I love your question. What I'm going to say with regards to Isak is that as it stands right now, BB, I do have a draft, mind you, but as it stands at the moment, I don't think it's going to happen. So I think the case is that Newcastle were in a situation where they really wanted to replace Isak with Sesko. They wanted to get the Slovenian international that, as we know, has gone on to Manchester United. That's what they really wanted. I don't think there's a striker that fits their profile now in the same way that Isak, in terms of what they have at the moment, and what Šeško has gone to Man U. So that's where I think their real struggle is going to be able to find a number 9 that is a little bit of a floater. I mean, Isak is a number 9, but he is able to come back and collect the ball. He can float, and he can open up gaps for guys like Anthony Gordon, Jacob Murphy to come in and around and do damage for them. I think because they haven't got that profile of player they wanted to get that wrapped up, BB, last week. And because they didn't, they now have to focus on a massive game in the Premier League this weekend against Aston Villa. And we know in this league, you can't afford to start slow. We've got 3 games over the next 2 weeks before the first international break, the first of 3 international breaks before the end of October. I mean, there's a lot of breaks. Excuse me, end of November. There's one in September, October, November. But what that does is it means they have to hit the ground running. And I get the feeling from Eddie Howe that the talk was about a week ago that he was very much of the opinion that we need to, either get this sorted, and he's not training with us, and he's adamant now he's not going to play for Newcastle again. But I guarantee you that if they basically put their hands down and say it's not going to happen, then it won't happen. The only way I do see it happening, though, BB, will be very late in the window. It'll be after the round of matches. I think the window closes on about September 1 or 2, just after the 3rd game of the season. It'll be rushed, it'll be quick, but Newcastle won't want to do it without securing a replacement. And I don't see any real striker out there that can fit that mould. Ekitike's gone to Liverpool, Šeško's gone to Man United, so there's no one out there. So that's what I think, mate. I can't really see it happening, but I'd love to know your thoughts on it as well.
Well, how does this affect Newcastle going ahead? If he comes back in and, he's all the talk of he was excluded from the players' barbecue, didn't go, was training by himself. If he's skipped out on all this stuff in preseason and waltzes back in, I know he's not playing this weekend, but if he comes back in and starts playing whenever, how does that affect that Newcastle side going ahead into the season?
I think, BB, time heals all wounds. And I've seen it in so many different sports, in so many different cases. You can have players that are outcasted, that are not happy with the system, that are having a complaint, that they want to go elsewhere. I think where he's in a real predicament is the fact that he's still got 3 years left on his contract, which means that Newcastle, they can let this simmer down. And by mid-September, if you're Isak, put it this way, you've got to think about this, BB. You can have a tantrum right now, and you can really put your foot down, and you can say, hey, I'm not going, and bugger you guys and that sort of thing. The problem will come for him realistically in October, November, when the Sweden national manager says, all right, mate, you're still at Newcastle, but you're not playing. Do you want to be part of our World Cup qualification campaign? And do you want to be a part of the World Cup itself? He'll turn around and basically put his tail between his legs. He'll go back and play, and they might sort it out for the next summer. So I think it'll be muddy waters for now, but I think in time, mate, they'll get past it. And I think he has to. He's paid too much money, and he looks very, very petulant at the moment. So I can't see it continuing. If he does stay, he'll be integrated back in by mid-September, and he'll play, mate. He has to. There's a World Cup coming, and if he misses that, then he's even stupider than what he looks at the moment.
Tell you what else. Time heals all wounds. Goals heal all wounds too. So if he comes back and keeps scoring, no one's going to be complaining. If he comes back and if he comes back and has a lean run of it, and the pressure just keeps mounting and mounting, that's where, maybe there could be some internal sort of questions being asked up at Newcastle. But
I agree. Look, can you see him moving though, BB? Can you see it of a case where it gets done now? Because if you're Newcastle as well, in my opinion, you need time to get the deal that you want to get as well. 110
Hmm.
million quid was the original offer, apparently, miles away from the 40 million more they needed for 150. I think probably 135, 130 gets it done. But if you're Newcastle, you don't let your prize asset go. So how do you see it happening?
It feels like if Newcastle haven't they're not budging on what they wanted, right? And Liverpool have had a couple of offers knocked back and all this kind of stuff. So I really can't see it happening. And then you let them go. What are you going to do? You got a whole lot of money, but guys are going, guys are signing. You're missing out on blokes. It's really tough. Really tough to see. Yeah, every day goes past. Every sort of new headline I see, it's like, oh, he's not going to go to Liverpool. I don't think it's happening. So I think he'll probably stay at Newcastle, and it'll be just one of those storylines to keep watching as the season goes on. But going back to my first question, I said, can anyone beat Liverpool? You said it's not as clear cut. Who's it going to be? I'll get your prediction right now.
Absolutely, mate. My prediction is Manchester City are going to come back and win this league. This is paining me to say it, BB, because I think if there's ever a point where you and I can sit here as confidently as we've ever been able to and say our Gunners are going to win the Premier League, it would have been this year. This is the most
Mm.
excited I've been about recruitment for a long time, 6 new signings in. But before we touch on more about Arsenal, I think in the case of Manchester City, what they've been able to do is replace a lot of those really experienced players that they've lost. Kevin De Bruyne has moved on to Napoli. Jack Grealish has gone to Everton. I mean, people are talking about Jack Grealish like the forgotten man. In a way, 2 years ago, as part of their treble team, he was the most played player in their Champions League campaign, an absolute cog in their Premier League winning team. So I personally think they've lost a lot in losing him. Guys like Victor Reyes have gone out on loan now as well. Abdulkadir Kuzanov wasn't fantastic since he's come in, and same with Nico Gonzalez. But I do like Rayan Cherki. I think he's going to be a big signing for them. Rayan Nouri is a fantastic player for them as well. They've strengthened in the keeper department with James Trafford, and it looks like Gianluigi Donnarumma could be involved as well if Edison goes the other way. So what I can see there is a change in terms of their squad, in terms of rejuvenating well. We didn't see much of John Stones last year. Sometimes we don't see much of John Stones, but if he's fit, he's a fantastic player. He's an agile player across the back and in midfield. I think you'll see a bit of a comeback in terms of Nathan Ake. Akanji was poor last year, and then Ruben Diaz as well has had a poor year last year as well. So they've got the base of defensive side of the game. There's a lot of talk that Ait Nouri might be a problem for them, but I think that they'll get that right. Pep Guardiola at BB has never gone 2 seasons without a Premier League, albeit Barcelona and Bayern Munich was a bit of a shoe-in, but he started in the Premier League, didn't win. Then he won a couple in a row. Lost out to Liverpool, who won it in 2020, came back and won 4 in a row after starting extremely poorly in 2021. And he's the type of manager who's so meticulous that he will actually want to look and see, what do I need to do to fix it? What went wrong? And if I'm not good enough, then I'll happily walk away. So I see Man City, BB. That's my prediction. It pains me to say it. But I also think as well, you'll see Erling Haaland come back off the top of his poor season of 22 goals last year and more across all competitions. I think you'll see him golden boot. And I also think, BB, we'll see the resurgence of Phil Foden. He was crap by his standards last year. Still influential in multiple games. Player of the season the year before last when Man City won the Premier League title after winning the treble, of which he was instrumental as well. So that's my pick, BB. Take it away. Who's going to win it and why?
Oh, look, I'd love to sit here and make a case for Arsenal, but again, I can't. Look, it's Liverpool, City, or Arsenal, but I think really it's Liverpool or City. 2 players you mentioned that I just want to highlight, talk about, or 3 players really. You're not going too bad if you score 22 goals in a season. It's considered a failure and you don't win the comp and everything.
Yeah.
Haaland will be back. He'll score more than that. That's a not so bold prediction. But Phil Foden, when Phil Foden is playing like Phil Foden played 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago for City and for England, one of the best players to watch in the world. I really want to see him back on form, back on top, back doing what he does. Jack Grealish to Everton. There was all rumours for a little while, headlines, links, things. I swear it was the first time that I jumped on TikTok and I said that yours Jack Grealish, and I was like, oh, it's done. It's done because he's another player, just such a joy to watch when he's given a bit of freedom. And yeah, it's kind of sad to see how it all ended at City with him. So good for that one sort of tremendous season that they had a couple of years back. But I also think he's one of those blokes where that he's always just come across as a guy like feels like he loves an underdog, like really good at Villa. Good. Okay, City were kings of everything when he was come over, but going to Everton feels like a really cool move. He can have a really big impact there, and yeah, hopefully he just gets to play with a little bit more of that freedom. Not saying anything against Pep Guardiola's coaching or managing, but free Grealish and free Phil Foden. That's what I'm trying to get across. And Nathan Ake too. Nathan Ake too is one of my favourite sort of more recent favourite sort of players. So him bouncing back because those three not great last year. Haaland will pick it up again. But let's get on to Arsenal.
But just quickly, BB, are you saying you're picking Liverpool? I think you were talking about Liverpool's going to be your pick.
Yeah, I'll stick with Liverpool. I think it'll all come together. I think both of those teams, not look, I don't want to call it teething problems, but I think there will be gelling issues in the first month or so.
Yeah.
But I just look, I wanted to come on and make some big bold predictions and out there stuff, but I can't go past Liverpool, man. Like, yeah.
Brilliant, BB. And what I want to say as well is just I'm going to touch on something now. Everybody around the world is making their Premier League predictions right now, doing our fantasy teams, talking about the game we love, the league we love. What is an absolute disgrace, and this is just in my opinion, is that the transfer window, BB, has to shut now. It has to shut on Friday, the 15th of August, or whatever the hell the day is, the Friday before the league finishing. It has to shut because we're going to have 3 games of the Premier League. 3 games of La Liga. Now, I think Ligue 1 is now 18 games and Bundesliga has been 18 for a while. So they'll be a little bit less in terms of length of game for the season. But my point is, it's got to stop, BB, because this is what's killing me now. And it's not we're going to come back at this and look like total gooses at the end of the year. But if we don't get it right, which we probably won't. But the point is that there's got to be something said about that. And this is, I know you wanted to talk about not necessarily bold predictions, but points of controversy for me, and this is a big one that is a bugbear of mine, is that the season's going to start. I want to enjoy it. And meanwhile, I'm going to be tracking transfers for the next 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And these teams are going to be trying, they might lose 4 players via injury. They might, put it this way, Arsenal might start amazingly well, 3 from 3, 10 goals, bashing everybody, looking great, fantastic. And then all of a sudden, we come back in September, players are going to get injured, and then we're going to be short in key positions again, because we'll talk about that in a moment. I think we're short, but that's a bugbear of mine. I won't go into too much detail, but the transfer window has to end before the season starts. It's ridiculous.
It's madness. I'd like it to end a week before. You get your squad, everyone's sorted, you get a week, maybe a game. A game preseason match somewhere, whatever you're doing, to be playing and to still have the. I agree with you. It's absolute madness.
Imagine you're Eddie Howe right now. You're Eddie Howe right now, and you're trying to get ready for Villa away on the weekend. Your star striker's out on the paddock at the local, Chelmsford bloody pitch. Having a run around with his brother, potting shots like I'd do with my son on a Friday afternoon. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how filthy would you be? Like, you'd just be absolutely filthy trying to get things lined up. And then Newcastle start poorly in 10 games. Howe gets the sack. It's always that person who has to cop the flack. And I know he's a manager on lots of money and all that, but you could be on millions a year, which these guys are, but your personal pride, your commitment to the job, your ability to get a new job reflects on what's just happened to you. So, mate, it's a disgrace. We'll move on, but it's got to stop. So Liverpool for you, Manchester City for me. I love it, mate. Top goal scorer for me, Erling Haaland. Tell me what you think in that department.
Haaland will be back. Haaland will be bounced back. I really wanted to disagree with you. I might put Gyökeres in there straight. Like, if Arsenal's going to go well, he needs to score 100 goals. So I'll put him up there. But Haaland will bounce back. He'll score 30 plus. I'll put that out
Excellent.
there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
Who you
fair.
got for relegation? Who you got for is it three up? Is it up and down again?
Love
for
it,
a
mate.
fifth
Love
season
it.
in a row?
Relegation. I'll try and keep this brief, BB, because again, I have a tendency to talk too much, and me and you are gonna love this season with the amount of talking we do. I'll keep it brief.
This
Three
seriously,
teams.
this podcast will be like 5 hours every week, every day probably.
Well, maybe we should do an extended one. We should do an extended version once every 6 weeks or 8 weeks, where we can just sit and talk and digest.
Yeah.
BB, the last 2 seasons we've seen 3 up, 3 down. For me, it's going to be 3 up, 2 down for me. So Leeds United are going to come up and go straight back down. I'm not convinced in Daniel Farke. I think he's shown that he's a very yo-yo manager in the Premier League. He's had opportunities with Norwich a couple of times before. They haven't looked strong. They haven't recruited well either, and I think that's going to be a problem for Leeds United moving forward. Burnley, for me, are going to come up and go down, BB. Burnley under Scotty Parker, he's had 3 goes at it in the Premier League. He's either been relegated or sacked each and every time. I like Armando Broja. I think he'll be a decent signing for them, but he's not going to score enough goals for them, mate. They came up last year off the fact of that they had an extremely strong defence. I think where they're going to really struggle is to score goals. You can win 1-0 weekly in the Championship and get away with it. You can't do that in the Premier League. They need to score, and I think that's where they're going to struggle. The third team to go down for me, BB, is going to be Wolves. So I think that they've really hung on the last few years. They were lucky not to get dragged into it last year, to be honest. It was just the fact that the bottom 3 was so bad. I think they were the only team that managed to prop up inside of Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur. That's how bad they were last year. Wolves have lost Cunha. They've lost Ait Nouri. They haven't brought many players in. I mean, I think they've made permanent Jorgen Strand Larsen, but they've had him last year, so they haven't really strengthened. And I think it's going to be a real struggle for Wolves this year to actually piece it together. So they're the 3 that go down for me, and I think Sunderland are the team that are going to stay up, mate. They've done okay in their recruitment so far, and I think they're looking to buy some more players as well. I saw a stat which was a bit of a wacky one, BB, that Sunderland were along the lines of, up there in the top 10 of most money spent of all teams across Europe so far. So they're looking to come up and stay up. And I think it's a passionate crowd up there. The Stadium of Light, they'll have 2 derbies versus Newcastle. So they're my 3 relegated, mate. And I think Sunderland stay up of the teams that have been promoted. What about you, mate? Where are we at with Pro Rel?
I have a real soft spot for Leeds. For 20 years, one of my best mates coming through high school was a Leeds fan. Obviously, with the Aussie connection there as well. I'd love to say Leeds will stay up, but I think they're going down. Similarly, I sort of have a soft spot for Sunderland. I agree with you. I don't know who I would put in place of Sunderland to go back down. It's probably the only thing. Wolves is a good shout.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other teams there, but just recent trends, man. It was 4 years in a row. It's the same have gone back down. So as much as I'd want Sunderland to stay up as well, I think it's straight sets, so to speak, in and out. I know.
3 I love it.
I think
what you'll find, BB, this year is that I think where we might have a surprise might be a Brentford. They've been absolutely decimated. You look at they've lost so many across the back. Kirke, Zabarani. They've lost so many key players. They've just lost Dongo Watara as well. That's Bournemouth to Brentford. But basically that takes me on to, I think, a Brentford are going to lose players as well. So I'm worried about them. I'm worried about Bournemouth. I'm worried about Brentford. I'm worried about Brighton. Brighton have had a lot of players go out. Carlos Baliba has had his head turned. They've lost João Pedro. So I think they could struggle as well. West Ham as well are really bothering me at the moment, BB. They are really looking terrible at the moment in terms of, I think Hermansen, the keeper they brought in from Leicester, is a good one and a good shout. But outside of that, mate, I think they're a struggle. So what we might see, BB, is a surprise there where one of those teams are languishing down the bottom, and that wouldn't surprise me as well. So a Brentford, a Bournemouth, a Brighton, a West Ham, something like that is where we could see a real problem.
Another couple of quick preseason predictions for you. Is one I didn't run by you. How far up the table does Manchester United go this season?
Oh, cracker question, BB. I think their attack will see them score more goals than what we saw last year. I do think Mbeumo, speaking of players that have moved from Brentford, I was getting a few mixed up there, but Mbeumo, Cunha, Shesko, I think, will take some time to adapt. I think they'll score more, mate, but they're really struggling in the midfield. I think their backs aren't settled either. I think, Patrick Dorgu's a good player. I think Harry Maguire is solid enough, but I think that's where they're really going to struggle. Diogo Dalot, those type of players. So, Man U, mate, I still think they'll be better than last season, but I have them in ninth this year. I just think goals will help, but they're too poor, mate. So they're too poor across the pitch. So that's where I've got them, mate. What about you?
Yeah, I got them sneaking 10th, top 10. I was trying to sort of see what's a pass mark for United this year. You go, I think,
mate, pass mark for
top
them
10.
has to be Europe. A pass mark
right?
has to be sixth or seventh. They finished their first time without Europe for a long time. Like they need to be sixth or seventh minimum. I can't see it happening. That's my pass mark in my opinion.
And that's it's almost a part of the DNA of the club, Europe. Like it's Real Madrid in the Champions League. Like that's so much a fabric of that club. To not have United play, maybe that helps them in the Premier League. I don't know, but does Amorim stay out the season? Does he see the end of the season? Is he still there?
Okay, great one. Bold prediction, no. Amorim goes. Good one.
Yeah.
Amorim goes. That'll be a bold prediction for me. Man United are a team that they've had a poor season once off. They'll allow that once off, but moving forward, they can't afford to continue that, mate. So no, if they don't finish in the top 7, which I think is where you need to be for Europe now, 5 is Europa League, 6 is Conference League, and then you usually have a double up because one of the big boys wins the cup, and that usually drops down to 7. So if they're not in the European places, mate, he'll be gone.
Similar question for Tottenham. How do they do in the league this year? I guess Aussies are still pretty dirty on Tottenham with the everything, but how do they go?
Yeah. Mate, I have no time for any of the Aussies that jumped on Tottenham because of Ange. I feel like the Premier League is quite tribal, and I might be speaking a little bit aggressively about this, BB, but I'm going to ask you what your opinion is on this very shortly, because this is a bugbear of mine. I think Ange Postecoglou is one of the best managers going around. I think he's done a fantastic job to win those guys a trophy. He showed that he could be pragmatic enough to get the job done. And if you look at what happened to them in the Super Cup the other day, that was just good old Spursy forever, back once again. I mean, you'd have to be absolutely filthy if you're looking at the way that they've thrown that Super Cup away the other day, back to the same old Spurs. So I think they'll have a better season, BB. I don't think it's possible to have a worse season than what Ange had in the league. That was unfortunately and ultimately the death knell for him. That was the ringing of the bell for Ange. Like, to be so poor and to be so close to relegation, they would have been definitely in the dogfight had one of those teams that got relegated been a bit better. So I can see them again, mate. I can see them up around that United mark, sort of 8th, 9th, 10th, but I don't think they've got enough depth. I think they've recruited well. João Palhinha will be a good player for them. Tell wasn't amazing for them in the half season that he had. He's made a permanent move now. If they get Eze, that's one that looks like they might hijack off us, mate, which will be extremely disappointing. But if they do, that'll be good. But Thomas Frank's style, mate, they've gone from BB Ange Postecoglou, kamikaze in some respects, but what Postecoglou showed is that he was able to get a job done when needed, and he sort of experimented too much in the league. What Thomas Frank showed, mate, it's that same Brentford rigidity, long throws, defensive stability, set pieces, long throw corners. I don't think that's going to work for Tottenham. The fans at least went on a roller coaster with Ange, good or bad. They won a trophy. If he's going to play this boring football, mate, they're going to go out of the Champions League either in the group stage or in the 32 or the 16. They're going to not get knocked out of the cups, in your round of 16s, round of 32s, and they're going to end up 8th or 9th in the Premier League. And I guarantee you, the expressions of the world are going to lose it, BB. They're going to be like, what was the point of this? At least we had some identity of being crazy and potentially winning something. So I don't think it's going to be a great season, mate. I can't see Thomas Frank lasting too long either. And that's not me with the Arsenal goggles on, mate. That's just me with what I believe is a reasonable viewpoint. So take it away.
Well, I want to. You touched on the Aussie fans that jumped on the Tottenham bandwagon when Ange went, and I know I have a couple of good mates who are long-term Tottenham Hotspur fans, like long, 20-odd years.
Yeah, well, that's
so
okay.
you see all these people come in, and I look to a much lesser extent when the Warriors go well. Everyone's like, oh, we're on the Warriors bandwagon.
Up the wires.
A couple of things like, mate, you haven't earned this. Like I can speak from experience with the Warriors and Tottenham as well. You go through some horrendous seasons. Like we've earned a little bit of goodwill. Kamikaze play, yeah, but there's always that hope, and he's your guy. Where are these Aussies that jumped on the bandwagon a couple of years back? Where are they going to be, early Jan? When Tottenham are struggling mid-table, battling in Europe and all that. Like and so a couple of my mates who are Tottenham fans get pretty shirty, pretty pissed off with all these fly in, fly out people because those same fans are the ones that probably first started criticizing Ange when he was doing all these crazy things last season. But you can't sort of criticize Ange Postecoglou as an Aussie, it's un-Australian. But these are the guys that know the club, that want the best for the club, that have seen the highs and lows, ridden the waves. So that's probably my. You say you were pissed off with the transfer window. Fly in, fly out, bandwagon Tottenham fans. I'm pissed off with them again, and it just goes against the spirit. Premier League is tribal, mate. Like you cannot be switching teams. I don't even like. I have sentimental reasons for certain teams or players. Like spent a good sort of week or so in Newcastle. My brother-in-law lived up there, so it's like, yeah, but I don't want Newcastle to win anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't have second teams. It does not sit right with me. So, bandwagon Tottenham fans, pull your heads in. Let's touch on Arsenal because we've only got a couple of minutes left, but
yep.
Touch on Arsenal. I'll just let you run with it. What do you see? What are you predicting this year?
I'll keep it quick, mate, because I want to hear what you need to think. I think the most exciting transfer window for a very long time. I think not enough's been said about Mosquera. I think he's going to be an absolutely fantastic defender for us long term. I think we've re-signed well in terms of Miles Lewis-Skelly, Ethan Waneri. We've got Gyökeres in. Zubimendi looks to be a player. And I like Christian Norgard, proven Premier League experience. I like Noni Madueke. So there's a reason to be excited. It's a mentality thing for me now, BB. I think Arteta has to get it right tactically. We've got to be calm across the pitch. What really worries me is, are we able to learn the lessons of the last 5.5 years and piece together a Premier League campaign? Is Arteta able to take us to the next level? Because with where we are right now, with potential for Eze, I don't know if that'll happen, and maybe one more. I think we need someone else on that left wing, mate. Martinelli has all the potential in the world, has no final product, either shot or crossing. Trossard, versatile, but again, output isn't big enough. Maybe Madueke takes that space. So I'm probably on the negative side because of where we're at, mate. But I fear for what could be, after a poor start, a really poor season, and Arteta getting the axe, mate, in December, January. That could be a big one. But there's reasons to be optimistic, mate. Tell me what you think.
Well, I think you touched on it there. What I wanted to mention is just all the reasons for optimism. Is, again, best trade sort of period, signed really well, re-signed well. All those reasons for optimism are also reasons where if it doesn't go right in the first couple of months,
100%.
there's no excuses. Like there's no excuses. Like if again, I sort of haven't really thought what the benchmark would be or whatever it is, but it's pretty obvious, right? If into November, if things aren't going well, there are no excuses. You've got like you say, maybe one player short that you'd want to get in, but outside of that, you've got a striker who can score goals, proven track record, needs to score goals. If it's not working, it's going to be the pressure's going to come on. It's going to be a horrible, sort of first going into Christmas if it's not clicking, if it's not working, which is what, it's one of those things for me where the more optimistic, the more upside there is, the more nervous I get, and the more stressed out and fretful I get for the whole thing. And that's just recent history too, right? Like that's just, it's starting to creep in. Like, can Arteta take them to the next level? He's done a tremendous job. Everything he's achieved and the sort of frameworks and everything he's done, but there's no excuse now not to be able to push on to the next level, push for titles, push for whatever else it is.
Well said, BB. It's make or break this year, mate. There has to be a Premier League or a Champions League, or at the bare minimum a cup double, which again I don't think will be enough, but FA Cup, League Cup. And one final point on Arsenal, mate, is that it's the in-out policy which is going to kill us, mate. It's this in-out policy. We've brought in 6. We've lost 5, though. We've made no money off. I think we made money off Tavares, I think, permanent move. And there was a sell-on clause for a player as well, maybe Marquinhos back to South America. It's this in and out. And there's a big focus apparently now on outgoing, whether that's Trossard, Martinelli, I'm not sure. Do we cash in on Saliba as that, rumbles on? You could get 80 million for him right now. We're the worst selling club, I think, by capita. That's not the word, but we're the worst selling club by some sort of statistic out of all the big teams. We can't sell for anything. And for anyone that goes off and has a massive crack at Chelsea, for example, they sell well. Man City sell well. Liverpool have sold Coutinho in the past for 150 mil. Like these clubs know how to sell. We don't. Our record sale is still Oxlade-Chamberlain for 38 million. It's a disgrace. Alexis Sanchez 35 million, and then Nicolas Anelka. From back in 2001 to Real Madrid, they're our record sales, mate. It's a disgrace. So that in-out policy is going to kill us, BB. And yeah, look, it's hard to say, mate. I want to be optimistic, but we're just all so burnt. And mate, I hope that on our 38th episode, 39th episode of the season, come May next year, that me and you have just had 15 beers together and we're doing it together in a room, having celebrated. But look, let's see how we go, mate.
Absolutely. Look, that's a good spot to start wrapping it up, or a little bit of a down point. But okay, so I want to end every show with just sort of a not specific to the season, but just sort of like a top five ranking. So we're obviously both Arsenal fans. Give me your top five favorite Arsenal players of all time, not just now. Who are the guys that got you loving the club, got you waking up at 1, 2 in the morning to go to watch the Gunners play? And it's a tough list to get down. I've only just thought of asking this question, so I'm trying to keep talking while I think of mine. Give you some time to think of yours. Give me your top five Arsenal players.
Don't worry about it. I'm good to go, mate. You've absolutely killed me here with this late one. But the players that made me love Arsenal, and then also over the years have got me up and got me excited about the Premier League. Okay, here we go. Number 5, Ashley Cole. Absolutely loved Ashley Cole. I thought he was a fantastic player. He was so versatile, so strong as a left back, and was a big part of that invincible team. Number 4, Alexis Sanchez. Absolutely loved Alexis Sanchez when he arrived. He was absolutely electric in combination with Mesut Ozil. Shame the way it ended for him, but the 2 seasons he had at the start, mate, I remember we pumped Liverpool at home, we pumped City at home, we pumped United at home, 3-0s, 4-1s, and Alexis was at the heart of all of that. Number 3, Patrick Vieira. Absolutely love Patrick Vieira. He's still one of my favourite players of all time. I've still got the yellow away strip from 2004 with Patrick Vieira on the back. Number 2, Robert Pires. I loved Robert Pires. I thought he was one of our best players, and he was so sadly missed after he won the Football Writers Player of the Year award back in 2002, I think it was, when we won the league. He missed the first half of the next season, and that was a real struggle for him, but a magnificent player. Number 1, I guarantee this will be your number 1 as well, Thierry Henry. He's still voted by any pundit, that watches the game, loves the game, still talks about it as the greatest player who's ever played in the league. He was the best ever. I've got his DVD, every goal scored by Thierry Henry. I watch it once every 6 months, the best ever. BB, thanks for that massive stitch up. Over to you, mate. I want to hear what you've got to say.
I threw you in the deep end there, and I reckon we could both probably sit here and rattle off another 10 or 15 names, but obviously we've got a couple of double ups. So I'm going to start out number 5, Alexis Sanchez, incredible player, brilliant to watch. Number 4, I'm going Mesut Ozil. Wherever he goes, look, I know he didn't spend heaps of time, but wherever he goes, I love watching him play. I also saw him score a goal against Bayern Munich in the Champions League 2015. What would have been group stage?
Yes.
Leg 1. Ozil scored and Olivier Giroud scored. We beat Bayern Munich 2-0. It was awesome. Went by myself.
That was Wenger beating Pep Guardiola, mate.
It was.
Oh, good for you.
The Bayern Munich fans, I can't remember what they were protesting. Something to do with maybe tickets or ticket pricing, but they stayed in the concourse for the first 5 minutes, I think it was, and I was sitting sort of pretty much right above their bay, and I was like, sort of what's going on here? It's all empty. And they came in and they beat their drums and played music for the whole 85 minutes, not 90 minutes, because they missed the first bit. It was awesome, great day, one of my fondest football memories. Where did I get up to here? Number 3, Dennis Bergkamp. You don't need to say anymore, mate. Maybe the greatest touch top three great best touch of all time. Scored some amazing goals, scored some vital goals for Arsenal and for the Dutch, which I hate to admit, but he's a gun player. Number two, Patrick Vieira. Back then it was Keane versus Vieira versus Keane, Roy Keane, and he was my guy. He could break ankles, but he could also play silky smooth, pass through everything. And obviously, number one, Thierry Henry. You cannot not have Henry at number one. That is a perfect place to end it. What a great first episode. I'm looking forward to the season. We'll be back every week. We're still trying to figure out when we do it. If it's a weekly Friday thing or if it's an after game thing, we'll sort it out over the coming months. But Steve, enjoyed the first one, mate, and I'm really looking forward to the season.
Outstanding, BB. Thanks very much, mate. Appreciate all of our viewers and listeners bearing with us while we pad this all out. But a fantastic way to start, mate. And I think we'll get some Arsenal match reaction as the sort of first game starts, Man United on the weekend, and then we can do a weekly show as well. So thanks very much, mate. Great start, well hosted, and can't wait for the season.
2-0 Arsenal.
Gyökeres at the double. Come on.